Okay, this was another drama that I had so many scenes that I wanted to talk about.
Too many. I feel like there was something again with each episode that I wanted to discuss.
Hi guys, I'm Lael,
And I'm Courtney.
and welcome to our new All the Drama podcast, where two best friends talk about
Korean,
Japanese,
Thai.
and Chinese dramas. So sit back and listen while we rant and ramble about the scenes that made us cry, laugh, and squeal with excitement.
Now, girl, tell me all the drama.
I
Welcome back, drama addicts. Today we're talking about the drama Fight for My Way, which we streamed on Viki.
So Fight for My Way is this cute rom-com, but also kind of like this coming of age drama for like anyone older than 25. I feel like it's refreshing to see them be as ordinary as they can be in K-dramas, let's be real here. And it showcases how like some people are just like office workers or department store workers or, you know, just ordinary people instead of some chaebol.
I mean, yeah, that is a good way of putting it. I liked that aspect of this drama as well. I feel like so many people our age across cultures get into this slump when we don't accomplish everything we thought we would by this point in our lives. It's refreshing to see these people who life really has kind of beaten down
Mhm.
find the strength to continue chasing after their dreams.
Though it really does have a good best friend to lover trope that I die
Well,
for.
of course.
So let's get into the characters, right? So first we have Choera.
Yes, Era. I love how much of a badass this character is. And I'm starting to notice that trend about myself. But with this character, life has seriously beaten her down, but she won't let anyone take her pride. And I love how she doesn't cower in the face of her bullies or in these tough situations. I also incredibly love how protective she is of Dugman. I think I mentioned this in our Hidden Love episode, but I just love seeing dramas portraying the protective instincts that women have towards their partners as well. I feel like this is an aspect that we don't really get to see enough of in these type of dramas, and it just makes me love this character all the more.
I totally agree. It's almost as if she doesn't think when it comes to Dongman and to protect him, right? And he just loves it though. Her overprotectiveness does not bother him like a single bit. Like it doesn't even hurt his ego, you know what I'm saying? Like some men kind of get like, I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
weird
I
about
get you.
that. We see her duality because we see her being strong and spearheaded and all that, but we also see her like not afraid to feel. Like we see her cry in like almost every episode, mind you. She's a good crier, this actress. She can cry on command. And I usually hate over criers, truly, like if they cry every episode and they're just like doing nothing about it. It makes me so angry. But I think they balance it nicely in this drama because, she feels, but then she also takes charge.
I couldn't agree more. I'm with you. I find crying, some of these, especially with Chinese dramas, where the crying is just like nails on the chalkboard for me. I
Hmm.
didn't have this here. Actually, I felt like a lot of her crying scenes were a bit comedic.
Yeah.
Had like comedic undertones because of how obnoxious she was. Um,
Yeah, right?
and then like the serious crying scenes, I feel like she pulled off really well.
100%. But then opposite to her crying, we have her Eggyo, which was again adorable. And I love how it was supposed to be cringe. Like it was supposed to
It was
be.
it was a good type of cringe. It wasn't like where I had to fast forward because I couldn't get through it.
Right. And I
Like
think
it was
Dogman's
actually it was enjoyable to watch and funny. It was a
mhm,
good type of cringe.
100%. And Dogman's face made it every single time she did that cutesy
Oh,
voice.
their faces, not just his, but the coaches as well. The
Oh my God,
music,
yeah.
that like crazy little tune they do when she does it, like
I know.
all of that put together made these scenes freaking awesome.
Oh, it was great. Obviously, moving on to Ho Dong Man. First off, let me say, I love the actor Park Seo Joon, okay? He's one of my
So
babies.
good. I love that
I have a
man.
list. He's on it, obviously.
Hmm.
Back to the character. Dongman has his obvious faults, right? And I kind of like how he started off almost like a loser in a way. Like right at the beginning, you see him kind of he's a goofball, but also like, doesn't have any like manners or things like that. But then like we see him with Era and he just becomes this like good man, is so honest, straightforward and chill and just an overall great guy, you know?
I agree. I agree with everything you said. I love this character. I especially love seeing that mix of goofy but like serious. We get all this like kind of laid back, goofy material, but as soon as his protective instincts kick in, he like hulks out, I think is what the coach calls it. And I love it. I love seeing that, like you said, that duality.
Yeah. I agree. And then, so we have his best friend or one of their friends, Kim Juman.
Yeah, okay. Um I get that he's a decent guy at heart, but I really couldn't stand this character. Don't get me wrong, I'm glad that in the end he realizes his mistakes and goes out of his way to like correct them and win back Sulhi.
Oh, yeah.
Um, but at the end of the day, I had so many issues with this guy, and so many issues occurred because he was too passive and because he didn't have a backbone. And I just really can't get past that.
I thought the same thing because it wasn't as if I hated his character, but his communication was one severely lacking. And two, it made me so angry every time the other female coworker that wanted him, that tried to hit on him, he just took it. Like all he had to say was he was in a relationship. He didn't have to say was Sol He, right? But then he
My
continues to be like overtly nice to her, what it feels like. And I'm like,
Mhm.
no, have some boundaries. This is why girls don't want their boyfriends treating every other girl nicely. This is the reason.
my thoughts exactly, because there's even a point in time where she makes it like if he was so oblivious and just didn't know would be one thing. But there was even a one come there even comes a point in time where she tells him she has feelings for him and he still continues to interact with her. And
Right.
like you said, just pure communication from him, just the simplest communication and boundaries, setting boundaries. That's where I get really upset because I feel like he just became so passive with his relationship, thinking that Sully would just never leave him.
And to me, that showed how much he kind of, in a way, disrespected her.
I
Like,
agree. I 1000% agree.
I knew that they were hiding their relationship, but like one simple word that he was taken and then cut it off.
Exactly. I felt like it was just too much drama, too drawn out, too much stupid drama.
Yeah.
Um, that I couldn't get back behind.
Right.
Even when she forgave him, I was not on that forgiving train.
Oh, really? We'll
Mm-mm.
discuss because I think I have an opposite,
Okay. Well, and
thought.
speaking of Solhi, our next character that we can kind of dive into is it Beck Solhi?
That's her name. Yeah.
Yeah, Beck Solhi. Otherwise, I kept referring to her as Pink Princess.
Look, there are some things that she did that also made me pissed off in the relationship, but
Oh, absolutely.
the one thing I loved about her character was when she was with Era, she had such a personality with her that I fell in love with. Like I'm like she has that, outspokenness as her friends, right? But then when she was with Juman, it was like she was afraid of wanting anything for fear of her wanting too much, and she couldn't be truthful, and it made me so angry. I was like, "Girl, take care of yourself first."
It's like
And
she
like
lost herself. She
she
lost
did.
herself in him.
I just want to say, "Girl, brush your hair." And maybe she did, but it didn't look like it.
No,
I'm
no.
sorry. That was mean.
No, 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 but no, you're right. And we see those scenes where in the beginning of the relationship how she kind of looked um and how he looked and she just I feel like she just lost herself and her identity in him.
Hmm.
And I feel like we see that so much when she does interact with Era because that identity comes back if you notice when she is with Era.
Yeah.
Um so but no, I personally love who she is and her relationship when she is with Era. Um, but at the end of the day, with Jomin. I feel like she just deserved a lot better and was settling. Uh, like I said, I know he worked his butt off in the end to get her back, but it still left like a bad taste in my mouth where I feel like even in the end, she was still settling. Um, I feel like this character just got the short end of the stick when it came to the relationships in this.
They were cute together and I liked them together. I think they fit well together. I think we should have seen her grow up a little bit more and get a little bit more into herself before she got back together with him. And I don't think we saw that as the main reason why I think you're thinking that.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. That and I just they clicked. It felt like to me,
Hmm.
it felt like to me that they were two really, really good friends who kissed. Whereas we have Era and Dongmin who are supposed to be the friends, the besties.
Hmm.
And they, I felt like, had more passion and intensity in that chemistry
They did.
than our other couple did. So
Yeah. But we need to mention though how this girl, okay, this actress is Sumin from Marry My Husband.
I know, and I can't get over this. Like rewatching this, first of all, I kept wanting to call her Sumin. So I just gave up on her name entirely and just kept calling her Pink Princess in my notes.
Hmm.
Um, but I thought she was a phenomenal actress when she was playing Sumin and Marry My Husband. But to see that role and to come back to this and rewatch this, holy, she's such a phenomenal actress.
Agree. When I was rewatching this drama for the podcast, I was just like, that can't be her.
Blown away.
That can't.
Because if you
And I
think
was,
about it too, like this character seems like a very simple character, but I feel like that's her acting abilities bringing that to to us.
hmm.
Like she seems like just a really cute, bubbly character, but I don't know. I just feel like I've there's such a depth to her acting that I didn't even know existed until I watched these two dramas side by side.
Hmm. Next up, we have Dongman's ex, right? Park Hae-ran, all right?
Dude, bitch is crazy. she's she's a legitimate stalker. She turns into a legitimate stalker. And the audacity this chick has when she when it comes to Era. Like she drove me absolutely crazy. There was this one scene where she was just hating on Era, saying how pathetic she was and for sticking around Dungman the way she does. And I couldn't stop laughing because, honey, look in the fucking mirror. Era is not the one who's literally stalking her ex. She's not the one chasing after a man who literally called her appalling to her face. He
Look,
said you were appalling.
I swear Eda has the patience of a saint because I would have decked her.
Oh, absolutely. And the audacity for this chick to pop back into Dungman's life because the guy she left him for now wants nothing to do with her. All I can say is that her audacity just has absolutely no bounds.
She is Delulu for sure, all right?
She's in her Delulu phase for fucking sure. Yeah.
There's one thing though that I can't stop thinking about, and I think it's in this scene where Heran was like to Era, like you have no say. This doesn't concern you. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
excuse me. They've been best friends for way longer than you've known each other. How dare you say I don't have a say in his life? Like, Courtney, you've been in my life for like how long? Of course I have a say in your relationship. I'll fucking say it to your face. But the fact that this girl makes Era so insecure and because Era was like, yeah, well, okay, I guess I don't have a say. I'm like, no, you do. You do have a say.
Oh, that got me mad too. Like, especially with the flashbacks where we just saw Errol just sit back and take it. And this chick like you said, we've known each other for half of our lives. They
Yeah,
literally don't know life without each other. They met when they were like 5, 6 years old.
pretty much.
And I don't care how you feel about her. She is his family. She's not just his best friend, she's his family.
Hmm.
And I actually had a bit of I don't know if just Dougman ever like picked up on it, like the animosity between those two.
He
I
a
don't know
little,
how he didn't,
he a
but
little
it
slow
also left kind of
sometimes.
a bad taste in my mouth that it took him this long to address it, you know?
Honestly, that made me angry too about him because I'm like, there's no way you didn't hear or feel the little bit of a tension between them.
Right?
And I get it. She was jealous because, he has a girl best friend. It's gonna happen. But to say that you don't matter in this relationship when she does, I don't know. It's my American side coming out. And then we have Hwang Jung Ho, Dongmen's trainer. Look, the relationship between Era and Dongman was the star of the show. We all get that, right? But the bromance, the ultimate bromance, was between Dongman and his trainer, okay? It was A1. He was so funny, and he never gave up on him. He never gave up on Dongman.
He didn't. And that is why I love this character so much. Um, I mean, let's just take a second to really think about the situation. This coach stuck by this boy for a decade. There was no guarantee that he was ever going to come back to Taekwondo or fighting. I mean, he made it very abundantly clear that that wasn't something that was in his plans until it just happened. So, and he never pushed him either. Like, there was
Mm-hmm.
no animosity or bitterness that developed because of him waiting for Dungman to like come back to the game.
Mm-hmm.
There, all we saw was just this like sweet understanding and patience. And to wait that long for something that may never happen, like he literally put all his eggs in Dungman's basket and was fine if that never cultivated to anything. Like he obviously wanted Dungman to like live up to his what's the word
Full
I'm thinking of?
potential.
Yes, his full potential. And he knew, I mean, we saw this in the scenes where anytime he saw Dungman like hit someone, he was brought to tears because of just
How
the
nostalgic
amounts
it
of,
was.
yeah, and how he was still this good after all this time,
Mm-hmm.
including without training.
Yeah.
So I again, I just the fact that he sat back on the sidelines and was just such a supportive person for Dungman, it sold me like he has like a special place in my heart.
Ah, same here. And lastly, we have Hwang Bok-hae. Mysterious woman, but I love her character. It was so random and weird until we find out who she actually is.
Yeah, yeah. I don't have much to say to her. Just the fact that I did appreciate the quirkiness, like the kind of like the
Yeah.
random quirkiness that her character brought to the series.
And I also want to talk about one more character that we kind of forgot to mention was the girl that hits on Juman, his coworker, the one that ends up liking him. She's not a
Dumb
girl's girl,
bitch.
and I hate her.
No. I my favorite scene, one of my favorite scenes, I don't know if we'll get into it, but
Hmm.
um is the scene where she gets water thrown on her face. And I think that says enough that that's my favorite scene.
No, same, same. And then she had the audacity to be like, how dare you? And I'm like, girl, you tried to steal her boyfriend, and you knew that he was her
Well,
boyfriend.
and then to like set up a meeting with Solhi after and be like, I, I'm sorry I broke up your long-term relationship, but I still want to be friends. Bitch.
I wanted to slap her so bad. I was like,
I go, the side characters in this, the side chicks in this are pretty, they get my blood boiling for sure. They sure do.
they're Delulu for sure. Again. Okay. So that's all the characters we wanted to talk about. I think there's a couple more, but these were like the main ones.
Yeah.
So let's get into the opening scene. Okay. I love how they started off. Them in high school, we see how goofbally Dong Men and his friend is, and they are acting like total dumb, cocky teenagers.
Yeah, no, I think the opening scene did a great job in showcasing the characters' personalities right off the bat. That and it clearly shows what each of their dreams and aspirations are when they're teens, as well as the dynamic between the four of them. Um, I especially just love how dorky Dungman's character is.
Right? Though they tried so hard to make Era and Solhee into country bumpkins, they did Era dirty with that wig, though.
Don't get me started on the wigs. They did both of those girls wrong. Their wigs were literally the only complaints I had with this scene. Literally. I don't know if it was supposed to be like bad as in like a comedic type of sense. Like it was
Hmm.
so bad it was supposed to be blaringly obvious to add comedy to
Hmm.
the I don't know if that's what they were going for. If it was, it sure as hell didn't hit. And if it wasn't, it makes me even all the more worried about who looked at those two girls wearing those wigs and said, yes, that's the look.
I think we constantly have to remind ourselves that, like, when they show up on dramas and things, like, meticulously, their hair is checked out, their outfits checked out, their makeup
Like
is checked
to
out.
a T.
And
Someone looked at those two girls
yeah,
and said,
that's it.
action. They said action. And
I
then
know.
on top of it, it's even more blaringly obvious when you set them next to regular school age girls with regular fucking hair.
I know.
Oh my
It was so
gosh, yikes. It was, it was
funny.
so bad and not in a good way.
Thankfully, she doesn't have that wig when she grows up. But she
Thank
does have some
God.
loser ass taste in men in the beginning. So let's get off to one of the first scenes that I just need to talk about is the cheating boyfriend and then the baby mama fight. All right, let's be real
Oh, that
here.
was crazy.
We find out that her boyfriend is cheating on her with an older lady. And I know beauty is subjective, but I mean like it has a pretty ass lady here, okay? He's obviously after money, which again, we'll get into later. I don't know. But
Sugar mama.
yeah, she's a sugar mama. But like, why would a established woman want to be pregnant by a loser who can't pass his bar exams? But you know what? It's whatever. That's on her. She's allowed it. But back to the scene. They're driving her home because she can't take the bike, and that's so sad and pathetic. She can't take the bike on the bus, so they offer to give her a ride home, and it's just so I don't know, just not pathetic, but
It was kind of pathetic.
to have her sit in the back seat with
Yeah.
her ex-boyfriend and his baby mom in the front seat.
Yeah.
And then
Not
they
only
exit.
baby mama, but that's the woman he cheated actively with. Like,
Right. Right. And then they end up hitting Dong Men, right?
mhm.
And they get out the car and he's like, "Oh, it's the boyfriend, this must and Dong Men is slow for a lot of things, right?
Mhm.
And this is one being one of them because he first calls the baby mama the ex's mom, which Loki is kind of
I
a
I could not stop laughing at it. I thought that was so hilarious that he didn't he say it a few times, if I
he
remember
first called
correctly.
her his mom and then he called her his aunt, like basically everyone
Like
but
everything but what she was, which honestly, yes, Dogman slow, but I would have been in the same boat, my friend.
oh,
I really
same.
would have. I would have never guessed that in a million years.
Right? And then when she finally explains it clearly that she's pregnant with his baby, his face.
Oh girl, I know.
His
It's
face,
it's
this,
what the
this
coach
actor, Park Soo-joon's, he is such an expressive actor in general.
mhm. It's what his coach calls him hulking. Like
Yeah,
he hulks. He turns into the
pretty
Hulk.
much. And this is like the first scene we see him go after anyone who hurts Era, and he was about to like go hard to beat the ex up, and
Mm-hmm.
then obviously the baby mama comes in, and I mean you can't really hit a pregnant woman.
No,
I
no, you
mean
cannot.
Did you say you can?
I said you can't.
Oh, I thought you said well, you can. No, okay.
I mean, you
Thankfully.
can, but it's gonna have consequences.
True.
Yeah, so that scene was absolutely just insane. And speaking of insane and Dongmen coming to the rescue, this is something we see quite a bit in the series, and I am all here for it. Actually, it's going to lead into the next scene that I want to talk about, which is in episode 2, where once again we have our Dongmen coming to the rescue for Era. She was at that wedding, and there were a group of guys that were flirting with her all night. Uh, Only for one of the more shy, quiet guys in the group to actually pull her aside and let her know that the other three guys were betting on who could sleep with her first. And he proceeded to show her the group text that he had with these other men that showed all these nasty texts that they were sharing back and forth about the bets and the different levels of the bet, like if they could get her in the car and have sex with her in the car, but if some other guy could get her in the hotel and have sex with her in the hotel, then that would be higher money. um and she was rightfully so, she was absolutely humiliated, and she could have snuck off and cowered away from confronting them, but instead she comes out like an absolute warrior and lets her psycho side just fly.
Right. Okay. So she meets them in the parking lot, right? And has them point all out their expensive, crazy cars, right? Only for her to go crazy nuts on all the side mirrors to every single one of the cars, just kicking them and breaking them. And they're all angry. Again, rightfully so, though. I mean, she did break their mirrors. But there was this one guy who like grabbed her and smacked her in the face so hard that she like got knocked to the ground. And I was like, whoa, bro does not hold back. All right. And I love how everyone was just watching, you know?
But exactly. But guess who else sees? Dungman, and he comes in super pissed. As he's approaching them, I couldn't stop laughing because Era is actually trying to save these idiots from being killed by Dungman. Um, she's telling them to run, to get in their cars, and to lock their doors if they want to live. She literally says, if you want to live, go in your car and lock the door. But
It's the
none of them
fact that it's the fact that she tried to save them for me in this scene. Like,
right? Exactly. And then Dungman walks up to the guy who hit Era and gives him the ultimate bitch slap twice. And then he proceeds to beat the utter crap out of this guy. But what I absolutely find hilarious in this scene is that you can totally tell that Dungmin is really holding back. He isn't even breaking a sweat. You can see that this is just, I mean, it looks just like a complete just light hits for him, and he's knocking this guy out, and he's not even putting much effort behind it at all.
it was so satisfying to see such like a laid back kind of goofy character turn into like a literal beast when it comes to, somebody threatening his bestie, Era.
Mhm.
But I also love that right after that, we see it in reverse when they go to the police station, which is kind of one of my favorite scenes because Era is so shameless in this scene.
I, same. And actually, I think one of my favorite quotes from this series happens in this scene. So I absolutely love that she scares this guy so much with her psychoness that he's too afraid to press charges on Dungman. And honestly, I believed every single word she said to the guy. She said something along the lines of, because the guy kept saying, I'm going to press charges. You don't know who I am. I'm related to so and so. And she goes, oh, I don't know who you are. You don't know who I am. I am a psycho. And then she proceeds to say, fine, you want him locked up? That's fine. Because every day that he's locked up is every single day where I will go where you work. I will print out those nasty text messages that you send about me, and I will make your life a living hell. I will stand outside your work. I will be in your workplace. I will tell everyone what you did to me.
And what gets me, she's not only did she threaten him, and mind you, she does so in front of the police. They're at the police station.
Mhm.
She also tells him that she'll follow his future kids, son, daughter, to their first day of school.
Oh yeah, that was my favorite part was that part where she goes, "Oh, you think I'm just going to be at your wedding? Oh no. No, no, no. I'm not going to just be at your wedding. I'm going to be at your children's your sons and daughters' first days of school." And like the look on his face, and I'm with him. I believed literally every word she said. She would do it. She would.
The one thing about Era is like she calls herself a psycho pretty much every chance she gets in this drama. Like she knows who she is. And I love that he knows who she is too, because at the end of this little scene, you see like the camera pan to him and he's just, hanging outside his little jail
Mhm.
cell. And he just smirks.
Mhm.
Like he
I
got
love it.
the whole world in his corner right now
Mhm.
because he got her. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Even the trainer was like, where the heck did you find her?
I know, I loved it. It was that quote again, especially with the kids. Oh,
The fact that she did it in front of the police, though, like I can't get over
I
that.
know. Well, she wasn't threatening bodily harm.
But still, like police are witnesses to this now. I don't know. Anyway. And then that scene was super funny, but like there's this tiny scene that I kind of want to mention in episode 3, and I don't know if you remember it. It was when uh he was choking on a cherry pit. Do you remember that?
Vaguely, vaguely.
The only reason I remember this, and I'm sorry that I died laughing here. I know I shouldn't have. She was choking. But why did they have to play Whitney Houston's I Will Always Love You? Him storming in to save her on camera because
Kind
they're
of upset that I don't remember more of this scene.
maybe you skipped it, but
I'll have to go back and watch
you
it.
have to because they're like doing this whole like Food Network thing and she's coming down because she got jealous. Like he was with the girl that keeps hitting on him. And so she goes and eats cherries and she's having a grand old time and he starts choking. And then he's gotta come in and save her. All the while Whitney Houston's I will all love you. I will always
Always.
love you is just in the background and I'm sorry I laughed.
I don't blame you.
No. But
The
moving on,
next
that was
scene that I do remember though is the that hospital scene after the first fight. Um there was so much that happened in this scene alone. It's kind of why I wanted to talk about it.
Mhm.
So basically episode 6 begins with Dungman in the hospital and he's trying to console like a very upset Era. Um, and as he's consoling her, in walks this crazy ex. This ex that he just told to her face, I don't want to see you ever again. I find you appalling.
How did she know that he was at the hospital?
She's a stalker. She's a legitimate stalker. And I want to talk about this because I feel like this is the first time where we actually see her go from just like some weird some crazy ex to like legitimate stalker.
Mm.
um yeah, so like she was already told by him by his friends to like stay away. He doesn't want anything to do with her. And so even still knowing that, she still shows up and acts like they're like a couple and then is shocked when he isn't happy to see her.
Again, her audacity to tell Era to leave since she's there now and can take care of it. Like, he told you, don't come in front of my face anymore.
Mhm.
And then she proceeds to tell Era that she feels sorry for her and then tells Era to leave. It's like, um,
Girl, that got to me.
and she expects her to listen. Like, it
Mhm.
was, her face was like, yeah, you get up, listen to me right now.
She really legitimately like that's what got me too in that scene was she legitimately thought that she A had the place to do so and say so and B that they would fucking listen.
I mean, whoever this actress was played her character very well. but I hated her.
And like I just again, she's going on about like trying just to degrade Era. And here I'm sitting here going like, girl, Era isn't the one clinging to a guy here, a guy who doesn't want her. Like it's you, babe. He said to your face he don't want you.
But
And
what
then
kills
as Ron
me,
said again, the one thing I love is that again, he makes it abundantly clear in this scene like he's like, I don't want anything to do with you. Leave me alone. Like the one good thing about Dongmin is it may have taken him a bit to get to this point, but he
yeah.
is absolutely clear with her. He doesn't want anything to do with her, which is a contrast to his dumb bestie who won't say the same with the side chick he's dealing with.
We move on to the next scene, which is something I love about this drama in total is the almost kind of confession scene. You know, it's not really a confession, I feel like. But so we move
I
on
feel
to,
like they have a couple of these.
I know, right? So we move on to episode 7, and we find out that there's this guy who's been pursuing Era, and
Mhm.
we find out he only does so because he wants to take her away from Dongmen. And I hated this guy on site when he came back into the picture because the first thing he said to Era was like, I don't like you being friends with Dongmen. And I'm like, bro, you've known her for all of 24 hours. You have no say.
Yeah. And we find out very quickly that he has a vendetta out against Dungman since high school because Dungman is so stupid. He has this huge vendetta because Dungman was the popular guy who got everything he wanted, including the girls, whereas he was the nerd who none of the chicks noticed. Um, and this is
But
the same guy. This is the same guy who's going after Era now. And Era actually finds out that he's been not only using her, but is actually engaged to another woman while he's pursuing her. And so it leads to her breaking up with him, rightfully so.
Mhm.
And I personally love, again, how much of a warrior this woman comes across. Um, like he bought her the heels that she's wearing. And so as she's breaking up with him, she kicks off her heels to throw back at him and proceeds to walk off barefoot in the city. And she remains that way until Dugman shows up to again save the day. And I love this scene for many reasons. First off, because he notices instantly that she has no shoes on, and he doesn't even hesitate with throwing off his own to give to her.
And I want to interject here because if you notice, he does this all the time, though. Like he instantly notices things about Era and is willing to hand over anything if she needs it. I
Yeah.
mean, remember when he gave her his jacket when I guess she didn't have a bra? Like
Uh-huh.
without hesitation, he flicks off his shoes. I just loved it.
I mean, and you're totally right. And this is actually something we see even with the flashbacks to when they're children. Like, I
Hmm.
mean, he was just always giving into her and
Always.
giving her whatever she wanted. Um, and so continuing on, I love the confession scene we get between these two uh because it fits their characters just so perfectly. Um, they are literally arguing with one another about her dating life and the sucky choices she makes in men. And he even says at one point, he yells that she just needs to stop dating because she's always stepping in poop. In other words, picking losers. And she yells right back at him that he needs to stop saying stuff like that because it makes her heart flutter. And I love this first confession scene because it comes out from them arguing with one another. Like it just fits them so much
Doesn't it?
and their dynamics so much.
And I just love how truthful Era, is, and how it is 100% her character to do this, like to shout in the middle of an argument that you're making me question my feelings. But like I said, I don't really count this as a confession. I think this is kind of along the lines of like allowing him permission. Like in a way, she admits that her heart's flooding, which makes him think of her more along the lines of a woman rather than a best friend. Definitely gets him out of the friend zone for sure, or gets him thinking outside the friend zone. Because then in this next scene, we get this like stage of the unspoken flirtiness. And I kind of like how they
Yeah.
added that in there where they're like in limbo, but you can see they're both trying.
I really loved this, and I loved how awkward and dorky they both are with each other in
Mm-hmm.
this. So they haven't really addressed, it's the next morning. They haven't really addressed Era's comment about Dongmin making her heart flutter. Instead, we get this scene um where basically both of them are getting ready to have breakfast together with their besties, and we see Dongmin spraying pretty much a whole can of Febreze on himself before he meets up with everyone because he wants to impress a certain someone with his scent. I don't know if Febreze is that right scent, but
This is how I
it
know he's a
fits.
man
Yeah. Yeah.
at heart because like Febreze, that was the best smelling thing that he could use. He doesn't have cologne or anything like that.
If I
I
I
can't with
wasn't
him.
shocked. And then you cut to them all eating breakfast together, and his bestie is complaining nonstop about Dongmin stinking up their place and how he can't even eat the food because every time he takes a bite of the food, all he's tasting is literally Febreze. And
I mean, he's sure capturing someone's attention with this. It may
that's
not have
not the
been
right
Era,
someone.
but
Not the right someone. And then meanwhile, Era's bestie is questioning Era on why she took the time to put on lip tint in the morning. Um, she even throws out the comment how Era didn't even bother to brush her teeth yet, but still put on lip tint. And I just love how both of them are doing these dumb, awkward things to like get the other's attention. And I especially love how their besties are unknowingly throwing them so hard under the bus.
I
So hard.
I get it. If it was me, I would have probably crawled under a blanket the minute she said, "You didn't brush your teeth, but you put on lip tint." I'm like,
I would have died.
read the room.
I would have died.
Straight. And so we move on to episode 8 and we get Era Psycho Part 2.
Oh yeah. I love when she unleashes her psycho. I really do. Um and so this is another top favorite scene of mine where uh watching it literally makes me laugh every single time, hands down. Uh they're at Dongmin's coach's gym, and Dongmin is getting hit by another fighter there. The fighter is taking some really shabby hits at Dongmin and is treating him pretty crappy since he's the new guy, and he's essentially hazing him. And Era sees this and notices that this guy is a bit too comfortable with taking these jabs and hit at Dongmin. She concludes out loud in front of the coach that it seems like this guy is too comfortable with hitting her man.
And her first thought was like, nah, not to my man. So she puts on this little egg yolk cute voice, right? And again, I love their faces every time she does this cutesy voice, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she butters up this other fighter just for her to ask him to show her how to throw a punch and kind of plays the weak little girl and tricks him into not wearing a helmet, right?
Oh, that was the best part. And then she then proceeds to throw a couple light jabs to like get him comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And she's making those cute little noises going chew, chew, chew. And then all of a sudden, bam, she punches him directly in the face with like all her might. Enough so, strong enough to make this grown ass man's nose bleed.
She went for the kill,
She absolutely did.
and she was so proud of that. Her face. Again, it's their faces that make this whole thing, honestly, truly, I can't get over it.
Speaking of fight scenes, I guess the next scene we can talk about is the scene that happens after Dungman's first official fight. Again, I just love this scene. First of all, BTS Fire was such a perfect entrance song into the ring for Dongman. Set the mood, set the tone. Love it.
Of course, you would pick up a BTS song.
Of course I would. How could I not? It's fire.
I didn't realize.
Shut. Okay. I'll have words with you on the side. Second, secondly, I just love that he completely passed his stalker, doesn't even look at or acknowledge her, and kneels down instead in front of Era. And seeing her so upset, this actually kind of gets to me because it's not like the other crying scenes that we've kind of seen so far where it's so obnoxious, it's kind of funny.
Mhm.
Like this one actually kind of got to me because she looked so small and she was like having these big huge like quiet
Sobs.
sobs,
Yeah.
and she legitimately looks so scared and upset that it just breaks my heart a bit.
Yeah, no, that was like one of her the first like crying scenes that I was like, okay, this isn't a joke. She's like severely worried for him. Um, but while she was crying, what I noticed was how hot it was when he just walked off that stage, passing all the cameras, all the
Going
reporters, crazy
straight to
ex,
her.
straight to Ada, who he notices through everything. Like, how the fuck did he notice her with her hat down and everything like that? I don't know. And then brings her backstage. That's what I remember.
And you're right. There is something so incredibly attractive about how he zeroed in right on her, ignoring all the noise, all the cameras, all the lights, all the questions, to go straight to her, grab her hand, and take her backstage. I think it probably has something to do with how serious and soft he is in this scene. We're so used to seeing the jokester, the comedic relief, the doofus. And seeing him like this with her is so heartwarming.
Maybe that's it. And there's just one little tidbit in the scene that I want to mention, and I don't know if it's like the translation, because we watched that on Viki, but he says to her, he's like, I briefly get thoughts of kissing you. And I don't know why that translation just made me want to laugh. Like, because like in English, we'd probably be like, you know, I sometimes think about kissing you, but like the word brief just sounds so
Out of place.
kind of, you know?
Yeah, I bet you it's probably a translation thing for sure.
I laughed at it. I thought it was a funny translation thingy. And then, so, that scene kind of brings them closer. He kind of confessed that he's thinking of her, not in the friend way, but in the more than friends way. But despite that, they're still friends, right? So
Mhm.
we get into episode 10 and they have to go some place in Seoul and she's doing like this announcing thing for his, I don't know, I think they're putting on a show, right? They're like, Jim is putting on a show.
Mhm.
And I love how they still had to put in the whole sharing a bed scene trope, when they each have separate rooms.
Oh, they made it work perfectly, Leo.
Didn't they? But of course she would have to be the one to kill the cockroaches because he's too much of a scaredy cat. All right.
Absolutely.
And then she has to stay over because what if there are more? And then we just see him falling deeper as he's laying next to her in bed. And I just,
Let us also not forget that her dad ends up showing up out of everyone. That dad. And that was so embarrassing for me to watch. Like, our Dugman got beat with a wire hanger. This badass MMA fighter got whooped with a wire hanger.
willingly, he sat
Willingly,
his
yeah.
ass down. But like, oh God, if my dad ever showed up with someone in my bed and I was not
I'd
married to
die.
them,
I would
well,
die. Speaking of, I feel like this kind of leads into the real confession scene that we end up getting in episode 10.
before we get into all that, okay, the way this man runs up to her and grabs her into a kiss, I have no words. And then he goes back for more. My heart couldn't take it.
Hands hands down, one of my favorite kiss scenes in an Asian drama, period. And the
Yeah.
fact that it's their first kiss scene too, like, because sometimes that first kiss is a bit more awkward or a bit more of a peck, a bit softer. No, this was full of passion, and I was
Well,
here
they're
for it.
they're freaking adults, so it makes sense. And two, it's not a fish kiss.
Exactly. We appreciate the no fish kit for the fish kisses here. We do. We really, really do. But yeah, no, I agree. The way this man pulls her in and kisses her, this scene is just off the charts. Like I said, I think it's hands down. I think it's one of the best kiss scenes we get in an Asian drama across the board. Um, and I personally especially love that he kisses it and makes it a point to kiss her in front of his ex.
Same. He showed her that she got zero chances to be with him. But I love, again, what do we say here on this drama? We love decisive men.
We love decisive men.
And look, in that moment when he saw Era walk past and he was fighting with her, and he was just like, no, it's not you, it's Era that I
Mm-hmm.
love. Walked right past her, didn't give her a second glance, nothing, and walked straight to Era. And I'm like, decisive. Thank you.
No, my heart totally melted when he did that. And I especially when he went on to say like he doesn't understand the whole flirting stage, but since they kissed, he's considering this as their day one. And then he says to her, let's date. Like my
I
heart just, oh,
know. And the
it
fact that he says
melted.
he wants to kiss her again, and when they're sitting on the beach together, he's like so obsessed with kissing her now. It's so cute.
It's utterly adorable and attractive as hell.
100%. And I also love this little jealous scene at the end where he's telling her like not to sit next to guys in the bus and forget your first love. And then she was like, "You are my first love."
I know, and his little smile there too.
Can I just love how though Era wasn't afraid to tell him that he was her first love? I feel like so many people like want to hide that, or they like reluctantly say like, you were my first love, and to their actual first love, you know what I mean?
I was actually very proud of her character that her character just said it straight out. Like
Like
like you said, you don't get that often. Even when they like get in a relationship, it's still something that you see commonly just isn't discussed because of embarrassment or some type of like fear of embarrassment or rejection.
I love that she wasn't like hiding anything from him. Like she's
Mhm.
nothing to hide from him. She's such an open book to him, you know?
Oh, I agree. Speaking of episode 12, this is the same episode where we get Solhee breaking up with Juman. And I couldn't be more proud of Solhee for breaking up with him. Um, Later on, I this it isn't in this scene, but later on, I especially love and have to drop the moment where she throws water into the side chick's face as well. Like, I understand that the guy didn't technically cheat on her, but I still think breaking up was absolutely called for because what he did do to Soul, he just wasn't right. And she totally did not deserve any of that. Not after everything she's done for him.
Look, I agree. Like, one, he blatantly kind of disrespected, as we said before, Sulhi with this. Like, not only did this girl tell you that she likes you and wants you to be her boyfriend, you continuously put yourself in a situation that would cause misunderstanding with her.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Sulhi is for insecure about this. Like, she knows what's going on. And yet he still tries to like lie and hide it in a way. The one thing I seriously remember though is when Sulhi goes to Era's apartment and was like, Juman hasn't come home. Next scene, you see Era in like a full tracksuit with that plunger. She's about
Mm-hmm.
to go hard. She's about to
I
go
did
hard on his
appreciate
ass.
that. I did appreciate that.
I kind of also appreciate that Dogman kind of took a side, but also was still kind to Juman, like Joman. Like he's like, so he's been my best friend since we were younger. He's like, of course I'm on her side. You fucked up, but I'm not gonna just drop you. You know what I'm saying?
Honestly, I felt like he handled it very well.
Very
And I
well.
did appreciate that. I feel I liked that he was able to say, look, you messed up. You got to fix it. Like, I like that because it just felt very real. Like, instead of, and I don't think so, he would have even wanted them to turn their backs on him. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
no. Yeah.
So I felt like that played out real well.
In the next episodes, actually, no, I think this is episode like 14, right? So consistently up until episode 14, we have Juman trying to get back together with Sohee. Sohee's trying to find her way, which I kind of love, tries to grow into herself again, really. But you don't see very much of it. You see a little bit of it. I wish we gave us a little bit more. But then, you know, we have more scenes of Era and Dongman acting cute, progressing their relationship until he decides to fight again. And this is what makes me so angry because they kind of break up. I believe, and this is episode 14 or 15. I forgot to put the
Around
episode
there.
in this. Yeah. And I'm just like, Ira, you knew he was trying to fight again. You knew he was going to be an MMA fighter when you got together with him. He wasn't hiding it, right? And she's like, if you do this match, we're going to break up. And I'm like, girl, this is all this man has been talking about. And it has been his dream for years. And now you're telling him to choose between his dream and you?
I get it. I do. And I'm totally like on board with what you're saying. I do think a lot of this was because of how scared she got when he got seriously hurt.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, because that scene of him losing his hearing is so jarring. And we're watching it, from the comfort of our homes, watching it on a drama. But can you imagine, like, take 1 second and picture, that as being like your brother or your friend,
Mm-hmm.
someone you're so close that you're incredibly close to and protective
Right.
over. And yes, they're chasing after their dream. I'm so here for that. But can you imagine? I mean, that was traumatizing.
I
So I
agree.
feel like she deserves a little bit of grace here.
I know. Just to give him an ultimatum like that.
I'm not saying she was right. I'm not. I'm not. I'm just saying I think a lot of it was because she was scared.
No, I can see her point of view. Like, don't get me wrong,
Because
like it's dangerous. I mean, the doctor said if he gets another hairline fracture, he could be permanently deaf, and it's scary. It's just
and we
I
do see her come back to him,
oh,
at
100%.
the end, and nothing changes. He's still a fighter at the end of it all. But
I
I think
know.
there's more acceptance on her end. I think that that moment was just so incredibly traumatizing for her that
Mhm.
she needed a break to step back to see if this is something she could do.
I mean, fair. Fair. You've convinced me. That is fair. I just maybe I felt like it was like I don't know, almost like all of a sudden in a way. Like,
Well, and I get that too because she has been saying like throughout this, she's been threatening it throughout, and
yeah.
she hasn't really followed through with any of her threats
Right.
until this moment.
Right.
Um, so I get that. I do. I get that a lot.
Mm, right. And then in between all this, we find out that the landlady turns out to be her mother. Plot twist for me. It does make sense in a really weird way. Like it wasn't so out of the box that her mom came back and did it in kind of a roundabout way, as they always do. They never just come out.
Right, we can't ever just make it simple. Like
No. And
like
funny enough, she
again,
did this actress who plays again, this actress plays in another one that we just recently covered, Perfect Marriage Revenge. She plays
mhm,
the mother in that one as well, who comes
right,
back into his her life in such a
in a
roundabout
roundabout
way.
way, in a very similar situation. Like it's actually
Right?
kind of funny the parallels.
Mm-hmm.
But I do have to say with this, I did see this coming. Um, I wasn't really surprised when we found out she was Era's mom. I had a feeling that her character was going to become someone important because of the kind of vibe we were getting from her. So we were seeing too many scenes and seeing too many interactions for her just to be like the kooky landlord lady, you know?
You're right. I should have probably seen that coming. You're 100% right. But I think what like shocked me was the fact that they branded her as an adult actress and her whole backstory to why she couldn't be a mom to Era just because she like from what I understand like filmed a couple of nude scenes or semi nude scenes like they weren't fully.
Yeah.
And the fact that like one of the was it a reporter brought her kids into the picture,
That
I was about to
that
fight. I was about to
yeah.
scrap.
That's messed up. I feel like there is an unspoken rule where you don't bring kids into adult issues. You just don't.
Right?
And so that was messed up. But
But I felt like there was like, quick finds out she's her mother, then she goes back to Japan.
yeah, I felt like it was very rushed. Like we had
Yeah.
this slow buildup of being introduced to this character. And even like the son that isn't a son, like
Yeah, he's
um
adopted, right?
eh, like unofficially, I think.
But he's not
Um,
hers biologically, right?
no, no,
Okay,
she's
that's what
not.
I think.
So like even bringing him in, I thought that was a very weird situation because basically what I'm trying to say is they built these two characters up and then it felt like a very rush ending and
Hmm.
poof. And then the guy character, I'm going to be honest with you, I don't even know why he was in this. I
I guess
thought
it was
maybe for a second they were going to have something weird going on with him and Ada for like a second there,
same.
and then they didn't, which I appreciate, but I just didn't it was a very odd setup and then it felt rushed at the end and unfinished.
Yeah, I think she pretty much adopted him to kind of fill the hole in her heart of not being with Era.
I got that. It just felt like wasted airtime.
Yeah, it wasn't fleshed out enough. Mm-hmm.
It just wasn't. I didn't see the point in it at all. Like he didn't bring his character specifically, didn't bring anything additional to the scene.
Mm-hmm.
I mean to the drama. From what from what I saw and remember. So,
Right.
um but yeah, speaking of endings, um let's kind of dive into the ending scene we get with the drama. So, um I personally feel like I got everything I needed from the ending. I feel like, and I know our thoughts may differ on this,
Mm-hmm.
because I personally feel like the big finale of the series was the fight scene between him and his enemy, who I dub Blondie. Um, and let me tell you, the fight scene was so satisfying to watch, especially when the little gremlin tries to use Dongmen's signature move on Dongmen, only to fail, and for Dongmen to turn to come right back around and use his signature move on the guy, knocking him completely out. That that felt like such a satisfying ending for me.
No, see, I get that. That was completely like if the drama had ended there and then they showed them kind of like, I don't know, cuddling afterwards or in a cutesy scene afterwards, just, them being them, I felt like the drama would have ended perfectly fine. It's the scene after the fight scene that I feel was rushed. Like, I like how they stayed together, but it felt like we didn't see the issue of why they broke up in the first place be resolved. Like he's still gonna kind of fight. He's still gonna go in the ring. It's probably a lot of questions that are just too deep for the drama, but like it didn't give me like the closure that I wanted. And then like suddenly like they're getting married the next day. I don't know, like
It
it
did.
didn't
It
feel.
felt very rushed. Like they did so well up to the fight scene, and then everything after they added in kind of like a wrap up fluff,
Mm-hmm.
which it worked, but it didn't because I was happy with the ending at the fight scene. Like you said, if that was the ending, this aftermath feels like a very rushed, not thought out piece. Like seeing that they're getting engaged the next day and how they casually throw that out. I'm so happy to know that they're getting engaged and getting married, but I kind of would have liked a more in-depth scene, especially with these two and their love story. I feel like seeing a proposal would have been a bit more sufficient for me.
No, I get that. And it also, I think that the timing was also weird because it felt like it was the next day, but it was actually like months later, maybe.
Yeah, yeah.
It was a little bit off with the time skip. And we also see that Sul, he, and Juman get back together, right? And this is where we're different because I think they needed the break, obviously, to grow as individuals and then come back together. I just don't think we saw enough of that break to where we see her grow up enough that we think getting back together with Juman was good. You know what I'm
Oh no,
saying?
I agree. I definitely feel like the way their relationship is, from what I saw, I'm gonna be real with you, it doesn't feel like a relationship that's gonna last long term. It just
It's
doesn't
just
to
they
me.
don't talk. They don't talk about the issues that are
No.
bothering them.
And that wasn't, yes, we saw him work towards fighting to get her back, but it just didn't feel good enough or like he actually learned his lesson.
Right.
And again, I just have this feeling where their relationship is like two besties who kiss. There
I
doesn't, and
love
that's
I
just
love that
how
you
it
think that.
feels.
That's
And
fair.
I get what the directors and producers were trying to get with this scene too, by the way. Like we started with the four of them, and in theory, ending the series with the four of them would have been a cool parallel. I
Hmm.
just don't think they did it in a they didn't I don't think they executed it the way that they thought they did.
See, and that's where we kind of agree. You know, the one thing that we didn't really touch on was we see Dongmen's dream throughout this, right? We never really mentioned Era's dream of becoming an announcer and how she did it eventually. You know what I'm saying? Even though it was at the MMA fighting ring that she's now an announcer to, she completed her dream and that was really cute.
Oh yeah, I feel like they do though. Like I know that there was more emphasis on his dream, but I do feel like we got a sufficient viewing of her struggles and her fight to get to be, you
Mm-hmm.
know, to reach her dream. So I'm happy with what I got for her dream as well. The
Mm.
only one that I'm really not satisfied with is Sulhi. I feel like she got the short end in the stick in all this, and she doesn't
I
even know it.
well, no, I said I think I don't think so because she quit her job and she started a alcohol business.
Oh, I did forget about that. I did forget about that.
She did do that. I think she grew quite fine. I think he didn't really grow, Jumen, but she definitely started doing stuff on her own, and I think that was a really good moment for her.
I just want more for her
Because
than
we,
him.
I know,
Like
I
at the
think
end
that's,
of the day, that's just
and you know who else we didn't touch on?
hmm.
Blondie. I realized I forgot he was a
We don't
character.
need to.
I mean, kind of. I mean, he's the whole reason why Dogman was like out of the ring for like
True.
7+ years because he's a little
True.
bitch.
He is a little bitch. The guy, and you know what? He is the absolute typical villain. He plays the villain role very well. And honestly, besides that, I don't really have much else to say. Going into closing thoughts with the series and the ending scene, um, I am curious what you thought about the OST. Obviously, you weren't too impressed with Fire as I was, but
Because it wasn't the OST. It was just a background song for one
uh,
moment, okay?
it was an important song.
If you can't tell, she's a BTS fan, guys. And don't get me wrong, I am too, just she's more hardcore than I am. But I'm gonna be honest, besides like that one good morning song where it's like, good morning, nothing really stuck out to me, but it wasn't bad.
I even forgot that. All I
Are you serious?
recognized was Fire. I thought Fire had such a more impactful presence in this drama than anything else.
It was one moment
But it set the entire mood. It
at
was
the
such a
end.
perfect entrance song. No, girl, it was such an important entrance song for fighting. Like it set the tone, it set
Yeah,
everything.
but it happened at the end of the drama.
No, it didn't.
What do
It
you
was his
mean?
no, it wasn't at the end of the drama. That was his entrance song for the rings. Every
For
time he
all of
got
them?
yes,
Oh,
bitch.
I wasn't paying attention to that.
No, you fucking weren't. I can tell. You missed the whole point. It set the mood. It set the tone. It got everyone hyped. It fit my man's personality to a T.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I'm so disappointed in
Obviously, what would you rate the drama then, Courtney?
you. I know my notes say a 10, but I kind of think I have to change it to a 9 because
Why did I just change mine to a 9 too? I'm not kidding you.
let me see if it's the same reason.
Okay.
Because I do love everything about this drama. The romance and the chemistry is on fire. It's one of my favorite couples in a drama series.
Mm-hmm.
Um the comedy was also on point without being too cringy. You know that that's a very big thing for me is I cannot stand cringe.
I know.
And and I felt like the comedy in this was like I actually genuinely laughed,
Mm-hmm.
which sounds crazy. I mean, the way I'm wording it, but there's so many dramas I feel like that try to hit that and they don't.
Yeah, they
And
go
so the
over the top.
comedy, huh?
They go over the top.
Right. They go over the top. They do too much and it just becomes awkward and I have to skip through it. But and the kiss scenes, like I said earlier, are my absolute favorite kiss scenes in an Asian drama, in the drama in general. And I love the development we get between the two characters. The only reason that I kind of have to give this a 9 instead of a 10 is because I'm not thrilled with the wrap up that they did for the ending. The fight, like we just said a couple minutes ago, the fight was a fantastic way to end it. The
Mhm.
wrap up after I felt was just too rushed and left too much. It was messy. I feel like it was rushed and messy.
Yeah, it wasn't like it left a bad taste in my mouth, but it definitely didn't leave me on a happy note. Like it was a happy ending, but I didn't leave on a happy note.
I feel
So,
like such a developed drama like this, like everything was just so stellar. Then to have this ending, especially the ending, not meet the level that the rest of the drama gave us, I felt like it was a disappointment.
yeah, there was just honestly too many like open questions. Like, why don't are you talking to your mom? You met her like for all of 10 minutes and she went to back to Japan. Like, don't you want to get to know her? Or is he still going to fight MMA, which I think he hinted at? And are you okay with that now? He could get hurt. I don't know. It just kind of fell flat. Even though I love like everything up until the fight scene, I love, which is why I changed mine to a 9.
Yeah.
Because as we were talking, I'm just like, yeah, no, I think a 9 is be the best because like I could rewatch this drama like over again. Like the scenes were so cute, and they were perfectly executed. I feel like they fleshed out their story, which is Dongman's story and Era's story, so well that everything else just kind of went to the back burner. And we're like, we just need a couple filler things. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and that's where I do get a bit upset because again, this drama really brought it. They brought that storyline. They developed it so beautifully, and I
Mm-hmm.
feel like we deserved a more developed ending than we got.
Yeah. So 9. 9 out of 10.
Well, that's funny. We both changed it because of the same reason.
I know. And that's a wrap up of Fight for My Way. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Please go follow us on Instagram and Patreon. We would love to grow this drama addicted family. You know, all the links are in the description. Tell us, you know, what's your favorite scene? If you guys have a recommendation for us to watch next. So, you know, we'd love to hear from you guys. So Courtney, what are we watching next?
Actually, we're not going to be reviewing a drama. We're going to change things up a bit, and the next episode we will talk about the dramas that we dropped and dramas that we won't ever watch again.
Look, I remember some of these dramas, they killed me. Like my heart went through the ringer. And then I remembered that I might have to rewatch them for the podcast if we decide to talk about them. And I'm just like, fuck. I forgot.
There's certain ones that I will remember. I won't have to watch. Like I'll send you the picture and that will be enough, you know. So until next time, happy
Happy drama
drama
watching.
watching. Bye.
Bye.